Hi everyone, it's Terry here and I'm excited to be joining Rebecca Moore on her 500 YouTube subscribers hop, and I'm scrap lifting this fab layout that she created. I'm using the Simple Stories Bunnies and Blooms collection, and I'm just gutting out the centre of this patterned paper so that I can use it for something else. It's a nice kind of mustard yellow ochre colour, which is a different shade that I would not normally pick, but I really like how it works with those be yourself and be happy perspectives from Bramble Fox, so I thought it'd work really well. So I've just trimmed down some white cardstock and I'm distressing the edges quite a lot, like Rebecca had done on her original layout. So Rebecca's left quite a deep border as well with the patterned paper, so I've tried to emulate that on my layout here. So I'm just going around and kind of bending up the edges to create more texture. So I want to add a bit of mixed media to the background, so I'm just using this shimmer spray in Goldilocks. It's difficult to see on the video, and then I'm just adding in some liquid acrylic ink in gold. So this is a Liquitex paint that I tend to use for my splatters, so I've just added some of that to the background. So I'll leave that to dry. I'm just going to start doing things with my photos and getting some embellishments together. So I'm going to map my two photos onto patterned paper, so I'm using this B paper, and then I'm going to use the other side of it as well. So I've got kind of a blue mat and then also a yellow mat. So the photos are ever so slightly different angles, but pretty much the same, and I've printed them in black and white so that they kind of pop off the page. So Rebecca's got quite a lot of layers behind her photo on her layout, so I'm going to use these cut apart sheets from the collection, and I'm going to add a couple of the tags behind my photo, and then use part of the other cut apart sheet for some embellishment on the bottom right hand corner. So I don't want to use the whole of this yellow piece because I don't want a big square, so I've just cut out a small area so that it's the kind of like a little tab. And I'm just distressing all the edges of my embellishment here. So I've got my layout and I'm just working out where I want to put stuff, and I noticed that when I put that tag behind the photo you won't be able to see any of the bunny, so I've cut off that section of the tag so that I can cut that out and use it later on. At this point I'm not sure whether I'll use it on this layout or on another. And similarly with that kind of floral tag, I've cut off the bottom half so that I can use it somewhere else. So I've added that top photo up on foam pads so that it's lifted up off the back photo. And I'm just kind of working out where I want to put things, and I decide that that doesn't quite work with the title to have that strip at the bottom. So I'm going to go with the Be Yourself title. I do play around with whether to put the Be Happy on as well, but it's just a bit too wordy for what I want, and I want to stick as close as possible to scrap lifting Rebecca's layout, and her title is kind of central on the page just underneath her photo. So I've added in the title and then that acrylic B as well to the top left hand corner of my photo. So I'm just going through and looking at what different embellishments I've got. So I've got some stickers and some ephemera, but I decided to use this bunny off the tag, so I'm just fussy cutting it out. I'm going to use it pretty much where I've popped it there. Now I'm going through my die cuts, working out which ones I might want to use. I really like these yellow florals, but they're a little bit too big, and for me the yellow kind of clashes with the background colours. But I do really like these kind of strips of tulips, so they do stay on the page. So I've pulled out this die cut kind of oval shape that says "You Are Sunshine," which I thought was quite an uplifting sentiment. So I just distress the edge and stick that above the title. And I'm tucking that strip of tulips underneath my tags at the top, and then the second strip will just go where it is. So what I'm doing is popping the flower part up on foam pads and then putting the green leaves and stalk stems kind of flat with just normal glue. And that big bunny is just tucked under the florals. So I'm just distressing the edges of that heart. So it's the same patterned paper that I used the tag for, so it'll all coordinate together. Now I fussy cut a few of the bumblebees from that patterned paper that I used earlier to back one of the photos. So I've just fussy cut, I think, 5 out, and I've just dotted them around the page. And you'll see later on what I do is I do actually stitch kind of a trail from each bee, but I do that off camera, so you'll see it on the finished photo. So just looking at what I've got that I can use on this layout. So I've pulled out a couple of stickers, and then this patterned paper I thought would work quite well if I fussy cut out some of the smaller yellow flowers and tucked them under in places, so that there was more kind of depth and detail. And because it's not directly over the other yellow, it does work well on the page. I'm just going to cut out this kind of half a flower to use on the right hand side where that bunny and floral cluster is. I'm just finishing off with a couple of puffy hearts and looking at whether I can add any more of those in and around the layout. And then I finally stick with some of the enamel dots from this collection. So I've had so much fun scrap lifting Rebecca. Check out her Facebook and YouTube and Instagram for lots of inspiration from her. It's difficult to see on this photo the mixed media background, but it is there, it's subtle, and you can also see the bee kind of trails. I would love for you to check out everybody else in the YouTube hop and find all the details in the description below. Thanks for stopping by.